Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Good news. My love is home. It took a while to get him, but yes, he is. Hi, Howie. It's good to see you. Thank you for your good wishes. Hi, Josh. Good to see you too. And Joe, lovely to see you. Hello, Loretta. And yes, I am definitely relieved. It was quite a fiasco. When we get a few more people in here, I'll tell you all the fun story about getting my dear husband home from the hospital. Hi, Howie. My bird is saying hello to everyone. I don't know if y'all can hear him or not, but he's saying hello over and over again. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Ellie. Good to see you too. I have a big smile again today. I love being able to smile. Hello, country preacher. It's wonderful to see you. Welcome, welcome. Nettle, yay! Thank you. David is not joining us today, and I'll tell that part of the whole story. So I'll get with that again. Thanks, Joe. I'm very pleased he's home, and hopefully things are going to get better and better every day. So, thank you, Loretta. It's wonderful to be able to smile and not be nearly as worried as I was earlier this week and all of last week. So, thank you, Ellie. I love the thumbs up. Got 7 folks here and 4 thumbs up, so please don't forget, put your thumbs up. We want to show YouTube you guys support me. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you. Hello, Michigan Daffodil. Well, I just went on a few minutes early, Michigan. It was not a big deal. I just saw some folks coming in and I just couldn't wait to talk to you. So I just decided to come in early. According to my computer, we still have 3 minutes before we go. Thank you. I was pretty happy about it too. Like I said a minute ago, I'm going to give a few more minutes for folks to get here because we weren't really supposed to start until 1, and I show it's 2 minutes till. But as soon as it's time to start, we'll start, and I'll tell you guys the story of getting my dear husband home. It's quite a story. Snow forecast in Belgium. Well, you know what, dear heart? I'm sitting here looking at a 65-degree day with a light breeze and sunshine everywhere. And we had rain yesterday, so everything is clean and cool. It's wonderful. Hi, Josh. Good to see you again. Joe had an epic hand cramp, but got most of the chores done as well. Joe, I've been reading about cramps because I've been having a lot of muscle cramps too. And if you can stand it, not everybody can, but if you can stand it, um, try drinking a little bit of pickle juice. Apparently, that's supposed to be really, really good for cramps. So I don't know if it will or not. We're happy you're here too, Michigan. 7 folks here. I tell you, yesterday was an epic day. And Joe, I don't know if it matters what kind of pickle juice, but I know that everybody I've talked to about it has said that dill pickle juice is their favorite. So a lot of it's nerve damage from when you got hurt years ago. I'm sorry. Tonic was good for cramps. I've never tried tonic water for cramps. Hi, Howie. 55 and sunny in Oregon. Oh, Lisa, it's supposed to get flurries, but not. Are you glad for that or not? I think I would be happy if it was not raining, not snowing, because we only get snow maybe once a year and usually not that often. But yum, dill pickle juice. You know, I'm one of those weird people. I really don't care for pickles. I eat pickles only in very rare circumstances. But I can't bring myself to drink the juice. If my cramps get worse, I may have to try. But right now, pickle juice does not sound good to me. Some snow to go 4-wheeling. Ah, okay. Oh, we're live now. Thank you, Michigan. Well, hello, Karib. Karib has come out to join us. Hi, big guy. You want to come up? Yeah. Oh, look at that handsome boy. Look who came to join us. Look, there you are in the picture. Can you see yourself in the picture? Hi, Amy. Good to see you. Raining and flooding in British Columbia. Peekaboo. Got a new kitten. Oh, very good, Tracy. You're on the road home. Okay, well, drive carefully, Brett. I assume he's driving since you're texting. Hi, Lisa. Ruth, good to see you. Peekaboo. Oh, he's in a good, happy play mood. Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Yeah, peekaboo. You're a big boy. Big boy. Let's see. Just my hands today with tying a piece of thread around an olive. Ah. Oh, thank you, Tracy. This is the oldest of our three birds. This is Karib. And Karib's in his mid to late 20s. We're not real sure because he was adopted like all three of our birds. They're rescues. Abby drove. Oh, I bet she liked that. I bet she was thrilled with that one. Anyway, he's in his mid to, yeah. You think Abby enjoyed that too, huh? We think he's probably 27 or 28, but David calls him our grumpy old man because he has a temper sometimes and he gets problems. He has some temper issues from time to time. Are you doing okay today? No, you can't get in there and walk on the keyboard. That's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. You can look at at your picture on the TV screen. Do you want to go get back on your cage? You want to get down? Here, pardon me a minute, guys. That's as far down as I can get, big guy. Sorry. There you go. Oh, sorry about that. He wanted down, but I almost couldn't reach the ground. I just jumped down a little bit. Oh, well. Part of the bullet that has a band so the case can crimp to it. Oh, okay. How did Abby do with the drive? How am I, Josh? Actually, right at this moment, I am really good. I got about 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep, which was wonderful. I've been up since about 9 this morning, and Tracy, he can fly, but he doesn't know it. We don't trim their wings, but they're indoor birds. They don't go outside, and they don't know they can fly. If they try to fly, they usually flutter to the floor and then don't try again. Thank you, Josh. I really am refreshed. I feel a lot better. And so does your dad. He woke up when I went in to grab my hat and get ready for the live stream. And I told him what was going on, and he waved and said, tell everyone hello for him, but he's not going to get up. That would take about an hour and a half or 2 hours just to get him up, come in here for the live stream, and it just wasn't enough. Too much time. Hello, Lisa Clark. Good to see you. I will give him your love. Thank you, Josh. I know he will love to hear that. The doctor told us yesterday when they released him, that it's going to take at least 2 weeks and probably longer for him to get recovered from the heart surgery and strong enough to start with the radiation. But probably. Even before he had the heart surgery, it took an hour and a half, 2 hours for him to get up every day. It was kind of hard. But I am looking at renting a smaller car, one that he doesn't have to step up into because he's just too weak to step up into the pickup. And I'm not strong enough to lift him. He's a big guy, you know. So if I can get a shorter car that he can sit down into, and then I can probably grab his arms and help him by pulling up to get him out and into his chair. That'll work okay. But we'll be using the manual wheelchair when we go to these appointments because, number one, we can't get him into the truck. Number two, buying that lift was terribly expensive in the first place, and I'm not going to have it transferred to a rental car. Just not going to do it, even if they would allow me to. So I'll put him into the manual wheelchair and roll him in there, let him get his radiation, and then I'll bring him back home and put him in his power chair, and he'll either go back in and get in bed or he'll go watch TV or whatever he feels like doing. So, but the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to trim that beard because his beard has just gotten so long and so thick. So we'll have to do that. Thanks, Michigan. We looked into some earlier before he went to have his heart surgery, and it was going to be about $1,500 for 7 weeks of renting a smaller car. And we were considering not doing it at that point, but now that he can't step up into the truck, we're going to have to do something. And our neighbor has offered to loan us his car, but his car is an older car, and it seems to have a little bit of transmission problems, and I don't want to be the cause of it getting more tired and dying on us. So we'll just rent a smaller car. If we have an ambulance or a wheelchair van come and pick him up and take him back and forth, that's going to be incredibly expensive. That's $300 to $400 each time we make a trip back, forth and back. So $400 a day, 5 days, that already is more than renting the car for 7 weeks. So that's probably what we're going to do. Okay, we've got 14 folks here. So let me share with you guys the story of how we got David home last night. I arrived up at the hospital about 9, and he had just finished his breakfast, and we sat around waiting for the doctor to come in. And the doctor came in about 11:30. And he looked at David, looked him all over, checked him out, looked at his records and everything, and asked David if he felt like going home that day. And David was so tired of the hospital and anxious to be home that he said yes, even though I didn't think he was looking like he really should try. He still looked tired and weak, but he wanted to go. So the doctor said okay, and he left. And we figured that was about 11:30 or so. We figured by 12:30 or 1, we'd get our dinner tray or lunch trays, and we'd eat, and then we'd be ready to go when they were ready to dismiss us. So we did. 8, 2 o'clock came, still nobody to release us. So David decided to take a little nap, and I went down. When he woke up, about 4, I went down and talked to the nurse, and she contacted the doctor, and it turns out that when he had put in the order to release him on Friday, but he had to go in and release that order, and he didn't do it right, so it didn't go through. So he was still not released. So she contacted the doctor, and he came back in and got the technology under control and got David released. And by 5 o'clock, we had everything packed. We were in the hospital chair, and we were headed downstairs to put him in the pickup truck to go home. When we got out to the pickup truck, the guy from hospital transportation that was pushing the wheelchair was a young man. He was probably about 5'7" or so, and maybe weighed 135 to 150. He was not a large man at all. And David tried to get into the truck, and he could not even stand up on his own. And we tried several times to get him in there, and just didn't work. So finally the kid called the nursing station and talked to the RN, and she said that they would call for a wheelchair van. So we went back upstairs. They said we should wait in his room. So we went back upstairs to wait. We were up there about 5 or 6 minutes, just got settled, and an RN came in and said, we called. You do a lot of transfers with your parents. It helps to be big. Yes, it does. She came back in and said she had called and they were sending a wheelchair van. They were going to meet us downstairs in the main lobby and they would be there as soon as possible. They did not know how long it would be, but it could be as long as 2 hours. So we managed to get into the lobby to wait for them by 5:30. At 7, David had run through a complete tank of oxygen and was having problems. So we wheeled him back upstairs, talked to the same nurse. She got us a new tank of oxygen and called the company back. And they told her that it was going to be at least another 2 hours. So she said, don't send a wheelchair van, send an ambulance. And they said, okay, we'll do that. We should be there within half an hour. We went back downstairs, and that would have meant that the wheelchair van would have been there by 7:30 at the most. Well, we were still in the lobby at 7:45 when the doctor came through and found us sitting there waiting. And he said, asked what was going on, and we explained it. And he got on the phone and immediately called the RN, and he called the hospital administrator, and he called the ambulance company himself. And they said that they would get somebody there within half an hour. So he said, I'm going to wait with you. This is the doctor who is what they call a hospitalist. It means his whole practice is in the hospital taking care of people so that their primary care physicians and other people don't have to come from their office over to visit the patients. He takes care of them while they're in the hospital. He sat down to wait for us, and about 10 minutes later, he got up and went to the cafeteria because he hadn't had dinner yet, and they were still open. He came back with his dinner in a bag and some water for David and me in the other bag, and we sat and chatted. And at 8 o'clock, there was still no sign. So he got back on the phone again and called everybody. And they gave him the runaround, and he got really angry. And he looked at David's oxygen again, and it was getting low again. So he called the nurse on the floor and said that we needed oxygen stat. And about 20 minutes later, she came down, and David was out. His oxygen tank was completely empty by the time she got there, and he was fuming. He called the hospital administrator, and it turns out after she was on the phone with the ambulance companies, the nurse from the floor was on the phone with the ambulance companies, and the doctor was on the phone with the ambulance companies. We finally had a wheelchair van pull up out in front of the hospital at 10 o'clock. So we got David loaded in. We headed to the house, and about 3 miles from the hospital, he pulls over into the parking lot of a restaurant. It seems that the battery on his phone had died, and he lost his GPS and had no idea what was going on. Let's see, Michigan says, that's what happens when those services are shorthanded due to crazy rules, even in Texas. I'm thinking, I'm so sad you had to go through this. Well, Michigan, they only can do what they can do, and they were trying. So anyway, let's see. Jill Morgan says, there's a reason I'm armed in the hospital. When I go, I have to stay with my dad, and they assault him if I'm not. Yes, yeah, I agree. Lisa's, both of you, it was mad. It was a mess, and it was sad. But to finish the story, and I am pretty close to the end of it, the driver had a charger on his phone, and he plugged it in and asked me for the address. He got it back in, and we started down the road. Now, the hospital is almost exactly 50 miles from our house, and it's all big, wide interstate highways. So I figured, well, we'll be home in 30 minutes max, maybe a little more, but not bad. This man driving this wheelchair van would not go over 55 miles an hour, and he stayed in the slowest lane, and there was no way he was going to go over 55. So it took us almost an hour to get home. With the stops that he made, with the turns, we get on the main street from the interstate going to our house, and he pulls over, and I got a call from David, and all he said was, Kate, bring air. And I said, do you want your portable? He said, yes, bring air. So I got his portable oxygen concentrator out of the back of the truck, ran up there and plugged it in. And it turns out that he had run out of oxygen again and had been sitting there trying to get the driver's attention to tell him he had no more oxygen for I don't know how long. So we finally got him hooked up, got him home. When we pulled in the driveway, our driveway has a circle in the middle of it so you can circle around to go back out. And I told the young man, I said, please circle around and pull up in front of the house where the driveway is and the ramp is, because I'm going to go get his wheelchair. I'll pull it down. We can put him in the wheelchair and he can go in. He wouldn't do that. He pulled up in front of the barn and started unloading David. So I said, well, I'll go get his chair and bring it over and we'll get him in from there. So I got his chair and came over, and he finally got David's wheelchair out of the van and over to ours. He would not help lift David. I tried several times by myself. We tried moving the chairs around to get better angles to get him in there. And after almost half an hour, we could not get him in the chair. And he was just beside himself. He was so upset. So I called my neighbor, and he came down. And between him and me, we managed to get him into the chair. And I told the young man who drove the van, David, first of all, David went on towards the front of the house with my neighbor. And I told the young man that had driven the van that he could load up the hospital wheelchair and leave. He was done. Well, he didn't leave, and he didn't load up the chair. He just stood there looking at me. I said, put the wheelchair from the hospital back in your van, take it back to the hospital. You're done. Leave. So he finally did. We got in and pulled him up to the chair, and fortunately, we have a recliner that comes up so that he can go from his wheelchair that goes up to his recliner. All he has to do is put his feet on the floor, shift his hips and sit, and then the electric recliner lowers him down to where he's sitting. But like I said, we didn't get home till 11. We didn't get in the house until almost 11:45 when we got him into his chair. It was crazy. And I'm so thankful for my neighbor because I could not lift him. I just couldn't do it. So that's the story of what happened. And I'm sorry it was so long and convoluted, but if you have loved ones that go in the hospital, if you can't lift them, be sure you have someone with you or someone hired who can, because I couldn't have lifted him no matter what. It just was something else. Howie says, have to run to the farm for some greens and say hello to David, please, for me. I will. Amazing that David kept it together. Well, he was getting pretty grumpy, Howie. Thank you for the prayers. We do appreciate it. Joe, it sounds like if I wasn't here, my mom would have to do it. I'm here to do that stuff because it seems yeah. If you were not there, your mom would have to try and do it all, and it's hard. Those rigs have monitors on them that check the speed and turn, etc. Ambulances also do. My dad would have cuffed the guy in the face for such abuse. I was pretty angry. I really was. And I still haven't decided if I'm going to call and file a complaint. David said he did not speak to David the entire hour they were in the drive home. And it took him almost 10 minutes to get the guy's attention to know that he was out of oxygen. So it was not pleasant, but we got him home. So thanks, Amy. Like I said, some of these things just happen. There are just so many people that need help. And with all the folks out of work right now or not wanting to work right now, you just have to take what you can get. I have to get under the armpits to move either mom. My mom is heavy and my dad's on feeding tubes to get the gait belt. I probably will. If I think I'm going to have to do any more lifting, I may have to, because we have to take him to and from all of the radiation when he starts that. So good idea, Joe. I've heard about the belts before. Actually, I used to lift seniors when I worked in nursing homes, but David was not strong enough for me to even use those techniques. So that was the way it was. But Fortunately, the young man who lives at the front of the property, his property is a front and ours is at the back. He's a wonderful friend. He's very generous with his time, and he can lift David most of the time. He stands about 6'5", and he's strong, so he can lift David if I can't. I agree, Amy. I just haven't decided whether I should go to the hospital or try to find out what company he works for. I can also tell you that based on a number of the things he did say to me and the way he acted and the way he walked, I think that he may have been what they call a special needs person. And I'm sorry to say that, but he seemed fixated on one thing at a time, and he told the doctor off because the doctor was trying to help put David in the van, and he told the doctor one thing at a time, move out of the way, one thing at a time, and he did several things. I don't know if he was autistic. I don't know what it was, but he came across as not being quite all there. Let's see. No excuse. My husband's 4-county area is often down 3 to 4 ambulances out of 10 in a 4-county, mostly rural area, and that's before any mandate. Yeah, I know. File a complaint so others are not treated. That's what I'm thinking about. That's where I've gotten. I have not talked to David about it yet. Like I said, he hasn't really waked up yet. So I'm thinking about talking to him, and I think I will probably start with the hospital. They might be able to tell me who else to go with, but yes. 3 to 4 out of 12. Oh my goodness. If someone treated my folks like that, they would be glad hospitals have great insurance because they would need. Well, that's something else. When we were moving David's power wheelchair around so we could get him into it, the driver kept stepping back, and he would go back like 20 feet away from it. And we were asking him to help, and he would not help. He would not get near the wheelchair. And he kept saying he has been run over by those chairs before, and he did not want to get sued for picking David up and dropping him. And he said a couple of those things. So David finally looked at him and said, I'm not going to sue you. Just help my wife get me into the chair. And he wouldn't. So I'll probably file. Thank you, Michigan. I appreciate the hugs. It was a trying situation, but I try very hard to be patient because I know everybody has bad days. Everybody has issues. My getting angry doesn't make it any better. You can go back after the fact and bring it to light to the people that need to know, but getting mad at that young man right there after waiting almost 8 hours for somebody to take us home, from the time we were released to the time we actually had the guy drive off. I just don't think getting angry with him right then was the thing to do. So we'll get a small car that I can lift him in and out of and go from there. But it's going to be a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks until we do that. So. Now, happier news. On Thanksgiving, David and I shared a Thanksgiving meal in his hospital room. Both of them were provided by the hospital. The lady who was in charge of the cafeteria comped me a meal, and the nurses on the floor who had a potluck brought in desserts for David and I both from them. So it was wonderful. We actually had a Thanksgiving even though we didn't expect it. And the food, believe it or not, was actually good. And as a matter of fact, I talked to the lady who was the supervisor of the cafeteria and told her how much we appreciated the food that they had given us. So, not bad. Thank you, Country Homestead Preacher. I try very hard to be patient with everybody. I really do. Getting mad wouldn't have solved anything, but sounds to me like they were very rough with David. And if they can do it right, they shouldn't be. I agree. They shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, Amy, it would be lovely if you were, but you're not, and we're going to be fine. The Lord provided our neighbor. Next time we need someone, He'll provide it again. Yeah, if it were a clear situation that he was causing David, might have caused David to lose his life, that I would have stepped in right then. But again, he was in one vehicle and I was in another one following. So, yeah, the birds, Lisa, the birds have been so talkative to have me home. For the last 13 days, I've been getting up in the morning and going, getting them up and feeding them, and headed off for the hospital, and not been back until quite late at night. The birds are used to getting up around 9:30 or 10 in the morning and going to bed before 6, which means they get up after the sun comes up and they go to bed before it goes down. They've been getting up in the dark and going to bed in the dark, and they have been in a grumpy mood for it. So my being home has really been pleasant for them. They really like it, but they've been talking like crazy. Let's see. Metal says ridiculous. His job is to help. I agree, Metal. I really do. Yeah, wasn't it sweet, Amy? The staff of the hospital went above and beyond many, many times to help take care of David and to provide what he needed. And there were several instances where they were not able to get into him as soon as he needed it, and I took care of him instead, and they came in and thanked me several times afterwards and were very sweet and kind to me. It was a blessing. The nursing staff there is amazing. It really is. Hi, Lazarus. Good, he's home. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It is wonderful that he's home. I haven't seen much of him yet, but he's home. He's right in there in the next room. I can go and see him if I want. What would the van driver have done if you weren't there to take control of the situation? Probably turned around and gone back to the hospital. Or maybe not gone at all. Like I said, he argued with the doctor who was trying to help get David into the van in the first place. So I don't know what he would have done. Like I said, I had some very strong doubts about him, and I still do. And I think I will bring that up. I don't want to cause the man his job if he is trying his best, and that's the best he can do. I don't want him to lose his job, but at the same time, if that's the best he can do, maybe he needs a different job. So I don't know what to do. Maybe he needs more training. Maybe that's the thing. So I don't know, but we'll see. I think you're right. I think I do need to at least talk to them. Maybe not file a screaming fit complaint, but definitely file a complaint of some kind. Yeah. Oh, and I just thought of this. One of the reasons it took him so long to get there, I found out, was the doctor and the head of the hospital were in conversation a little bit away from us about what was going on. They didn't want to be close enough for me to hear for some reason, but I had my hearing aids in and I had them turned on so I could hear. And they said that with the young man, the driver, had been sitting outside the emergency room in his van talking to his wife on the phone for over half an hour. And that's why he didn't come to pick us up right away. He'd just been sitting out there talking to his wife. And he had reported to his dispatcher that he was at the hospital and he was loading the patient, but he wasn't. So he might need someone, yeah, or he just might need more training. I don't know. But I know I was not exactly happy with him last night when I finally got him to drive away. And I'll tell you what, driving on 6 and 8 lane highways where people are regularly going 75 and 80 and you're going 55 is not safe. It is just not safe. He either should have been on the access roads or he should have sped up at least to 65. It was kind of scary following behind him. I had ended up turning on my emergency flashers and driving that slowly behind him so that people around us would know that we were going too slow. So let's see. After the assault last year with your dad, you punched someone defending your dad, they leave you alone. Yeah, I can see that. I can see it very well. I'll tell you something else I've thought about doing, and this may be just a little overboard, but after last night, it sounds good to me. Texas has a gun carry law, several of them, but they have a concealed carry and they have an open carry. And I've thought about getting my license and openly carrying a weapon because that would give people the idea, at least, that I'm serious about what I want and I'm not going to take any guff from anybody. I'm not saying I'm going to shoot anybody, but, if you're dealing with someone who's sitting there with a gun on the hip, it might wake them up a little bit. Here, Nacho. The dog came in, and I've had a treat sitting here on the table waiting for him. He's been such a good dog. He really has. And I'm so proud of him because all this time, all the hours I've been gone, he's not had an accident until last night. But last night I was gone yesterday I was gone from 9 in the morning until 11 at night. So he had the right to have an accident on the carpet, and I didn't complain about him. But he's really behaved very well. Let's see. Best is not good enough in this case. Very informative letter for sure, and a reply in writing is needed. He needs a new job after the new news on the phone. Yes. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I would be constitutional now, and like I said, I'm not planning on shooting anyone, but you get a little extra bit of respect when you have a weapon in plain sight. And if I'm legal in doing it, why not? Especially when you're my size, because I'm 5'3", and a little lady at 5'3", especially a little grandma lady at 5'3", doesn't get a lot of respect. So, full size 9mm spare magazine in a bag. 10. There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, if I were going to buy a weapon, I would dearly love to have the weapon that I learned to fire on. The man who taught me to shoot was a World War II and Korea veteran, and he had a pearl-handled, nickel-plated German Luger, and that's what I would do. I still have a few scars on my hand where that thing came back and got me, but that's okay. I got really good with it. All the things I want to say about how I should be there. Josh, I really appreciate the fact that you want to be here and you want to help. But to be honest, on the day-to-day things going on in life so far, with the exception of yesterday, we are able to handle them. And you need to continue with your schooling and get your life together. Now, if it gets to the point where we can't handle them and you would be, it would be worth calling you and asking you to come help and put your life aside, I will do that. But until it gets to that point, I want you to concentrate on getting your schooling done and getting your life together, because that's important. There'll come a day when you'll need to have that done, and your dad and I won't be here. So you get everything you can get done. Believe me, your dad and I are very proud of you for what you're doing, and we want you to succeed. So we appreciate that you want to be here. We appreciate that you want to help. But it's more important right now that you get yourself together. So go for it. I've taught myself need a pew for sure. Jim Morgan, I learned to shoot on a 22 Luger at 3 fired out of battery and almost lost my. Oh my goodness, Joe. Actually, the very first thing I ever learned to fire, the first thing I ever fired was my dad's service revolver, but I was only 3 at the time. And he had a weapon. He was a police officer, and he took me out to the range to show me what it was, so I wouldn't be afraid of it, but I would respect it. That's enough. He showed me what it was, showed me how to hold it, and showed me how to fire it. And then he said, all right, do it. And, of course, it had a big kick, and I dropped it and jumped back and all of that. But when it was over and he picked it up and he'd hug me, I said, that was fun, Daddy. Can we do it again? So at 3, I was already starting to love that sort of thing. So, with the wall. Absolutely. Well, don't, Josh. When the time comes, you will get a call. Yes, the birds are. I'm home and they want to be here with us. Oh, hi, Idaho. No, he's not sick. Well, he had heart surgery. He had 2 heart surgeries in the last 13 days. He's recovering from that. He does have throat cancer, and we're going to start daily radiation as soon as he's strong enough. And the doctor seems to think that'll be 2 to 3 weeks anyway. So I'm glad you're home from church, and I hope you had a wonderful sermon and got closer to the Lord. And I'm glad you dropped in here. Been a handgun shooter for almost 30 years. I was semi-competitive. I can write my name. Joe, when I was 16, I was on a competitive rifle team with a bunch of the boys from my high school. And our team sponsor was a retired Army officer. I don't even remember what his rank was. And he took us out to the range, and I could outfire all the people that were going for their marksman's badge, I think is what it's called. So I like it too. You have homework. Take care, Josh. Get your homework done. Have a great week. Yikes. Oh, yeah. All our love to you too. Well, Idaho, thank you again, Amy, for the prayers. We both look at what's coming up in his life kind of philosophically. It's the same attitude I had when I was going through my cancer fight, and that is, we know for a fact that God is going to heal us from this. There is no question about that. The question is he going to heal us on this side of the grave or on the other side of the grave? And I'll tell you guys the same thing that I told other people when I was going through it and what David says now. And that is, if he heals David on the other side of the grave, there are people that he loves waiting there. If he heals David on this side of the grave and he gets to stay in this world a little longer, he has loved ones here. So either way God decides to do it, David wins. And that's the important thing to remember. So we know God's going to heal David, and we're just waiting to see which way God does it. Because it's his decision finally. You did life stuff too, but when you were 10, you beat people who were war vets in their 40s. Oh my goodness, it took a lot of practice to get where I am. And I'm glad I put my work in to build those skills. I don't blame you, Joe. I have not had a weapon in many, many, many years, but one day again, I will have one. My best girlfriend, Donna, has one, and she has a concealed carry permit, and she is an excellent shot. Hello, Celtic. Welcome. It's good to see you. You'll have to go back and watch the beginning. About 10 minutes into the thing, I started on the long explanation of getting David home yesterday. So I don't want to go through it again. It's a long and convoluted story, but go back and watch it when it's over, and you'll see what we went through. It was quite a fiasco. When I joined that rifle team, actually, it was an Explorer Scout troop. And back then, girls were not allowed to be Explorer Scouts. Only guys were. So I was kind of the mascot for the team. I knew all the guys. They were all in the same high school I went to, and we were all friends. So the father of one of the members was our leader, and we had a wonderful time going and doing these things. But when we first started, I had never fired a bolt-action rifle of any kind. I did not know how they worked. I really didn't know much of anything about them. So the young man I was dating at the time was a member, and we all went, and he had volunteered to teach me how to fire this weapon. And we were doing it from the prone position. And for those of you that don't know, prone position means you're lying on your belly and lifting up on your elbows so that you can fire the weapon from a lying down position. Hi, Sissy Johnson. Good to see you. So anyway, he got me in the position. He explained about the bolt and how to put a shell in, and then you put the bolt in and you lock it down. And that's then allows the gun to shoot. Well, he explained it all to me, and I'm being very careful to pay attention so I really understand, because I didn't want all the guys to laugh at me. And he gets up and he goes back and stands behind me, and I remember that he said, take a deep breath and hold it. Don't jerk on the trigger, but very gently squeeze it. Keep both your eyes open and look. And so I was going through all of it, and I very gently squeezed the trigger, and nothing happened. So I thought, well, maybe I did something wrong. So I repositioned everything, put the weapon up to my shoulder, took my deep breath, and very gently squeezed. And again, nothing happened. I turned around to ask him what was going on, and he's standing behind me with the bolt in his hand. Obviously, the gun has to have the bolt in its place in order to fire, and he's got it in his hand, and he and the rest of the troop were laughing at me. They were snickering and giggling, and they thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Here's Kate trying to be a member and be a big guy on the rifle thing and all of that, and they just thought it was hysterical. Well, I had the last laugh, because 6 months after I joined, I was out shooting all of them, every one of them. When we would go to the range, we each had 100 shells. I was consistently firing 99 of the 100 into the bullseye. The guys, the best they could do was 87. The best shot other than me, his consistent score was 87 out of 100. So they didn't laugh at me anymore, and they got real serious when I said I was going to do something, but they wanted to be sure. But I did it, and I did it right, and they didn't pay any attention to me anymore. As a matter of fact, I won quite a few of the competitions that we had. So, yeah, I thought it was really mean, too. But, you know, we were in our 16 and 17, and the guys thought it was funny. So, oh, well. So, anyway, I showed them. They had to respect me. So it was really nice that later in the year, the whole team decided to take scuba lessons, and they got some extra money together because the troop was paying for the lessons, but the troop wouldn't pay for mine because I was not really an Explorer Scout at that time. So the guys got together and raised the money for me to take the scuba lessons. And then we found out that I had several teeth that had root canals because I was born with teeth that had no enamel on them. So they were very soft, and I had a lot of tooth problems. So they took some of the money that they had raised for me to take the scuba lessons. And at that time, I was wearing a charm bracelet, and they bought me a scuba diver charm to wear on my bracelet. Hi, how are you, Christy? Good to see you. Celtic, your great-grandmother was a sharpshooter. Oh, good for her. Good for her. Well, I'm glad you woke up, Christy. It's good you're joining us. But anyway, the guys were really good to me after that. They would good-naturedly tease me once in a while, but it wasn't like at the firing range. And they even got to the point where they would take bets, put me up against sharpshooters. Usually we were firing at an indoor range on a military base, and they would talk to all the guys that were there trying to get their badges and place bets on me against them, and I generally won them a lot of money till the major found out what they were doing, and he put a stop to it, but they thought it was really cool. You know, Joe, I'm not sure why that is, but I have been told many times that women traditionally through history have matched or exceeded the consistency of that. I don't know why women seem to be better shots. They seem to be. Oh, well. My goodness, I've been running on for 49 minutes. Did you guys, actually more than that, because I went, no, I guess it is 49 minutes. I went live a little early, so. Annie Oakley, yep. It's because they're balanced to pit. Is that what it is? I didn't know, but I knew it was something. Well, hello, Sean at North Star Preparedness. Glad to hear he's home and resting. Thank you. Please do, because as soon as he gets strong enough, he has to start the radiation on his throat cancer. So I didn't know what it was, Joe. I really didn't, but that makes sense. That does make sense. We're built with a different center of gravity, for one thing. So with the wider, shorter, shorter legs and the wider hips, it would make sense. And we're built that way for a reason. So, Amy, are y'all still driving? Ah, there you are. Well, you shot very little, but always hit your target. Good for you. I have my book here for prayer requests. So if anyone has any, let's get it on there. Still going 150 miles to go. By the way, I absolutely enjoyed that little trip y'all took and watching Abby with all those animals. She really seemed to get a charge out of it. Hi, Thrifty. Good to see you too. You can shoot better than your husband, but he has a bad eye. That's cheating. I don't know if I shoot better than David or not. We've not ever been to the range together. I've had the opportunity to go shooting several times, but for some reason I just haven't wanted to do it in the last few years. I think it's because I know my ears. A lot of my hearing problems are because I spent so much time on the range when I was younger, and back then we did not wear any kind of hearing protection. So now I'm kind of a little worried. Celtic just woke up. Go and get your tea. Be well. Healing hugs to Dave and Kay. Thank you, Celtic. Enjoy your tea and get going. It looked like a lot of fun, Amy. I watched that video. As a matter of fact, I've watched it 3 times now, and I really enjoy it. And I saw Rayleigh there, and she's looking good. She's looking like she's getting bigger and getting a little more grown up looking than she was. So I'm glad she's kept her hair short. That seems to be a good look for her. Eel May, a good starter 9mm, comes with 2 magazines, new for $229, on sale, shipping. Oh, okay. Thank you, Joe. I'm not sure that we're ready to do that, but I will definitely look and we'll talk it over. Oh, Amy, before I forget, I'm hoping to get a box in the mail to you, hopefully tomorrow, that will have an even dozen of the dishwashing rags, the hand crocheted ones. So you'll have plenty to give away, and I have another one coming with y'all's Christmas presents, and you will have some dishwashing rags in there too. So for those of you that don't know, I crochet, and I'm making some crocheted kitchen cloths for Amy and Brett to give away on their 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So Rayleigh's getting much taller and a little more sassy. Yeah, she looked like she had grown up quite a bit. Prayers for your daughter-in-law. Okay, get this over here so I can write these down. Okay, she's now on there. You're welcome. You can split them up however you want to. Four sets of 3, 3 sets of 4, or however else you want to. So Lisa Clark, definitely. Okay, Lisa, I got you on there too. I have some things to do today. Let's see, Amy Shawn, she definitely gets her sass from me. Yeah, yeah, she's around you enough. She could definitely learn some of that. I have to do some cleaning on my rug today. My poor little dog stayed in the house for so long, but I can't let him out. He has found another way to get out of the fence, and when he gets out of the fence, I never know where he's going to go. As a matter of fact, I worry because he gets out and goes up and down the street, and there's a lot of busy traffic out there, and I'm always afraid. He has no fear of cars, so I'm always afraid he's going to get hit. Now, when I take him out, I usually put his harness on and take him out on a leash. Oops. Hang on a minute. I got somebody coming to the door. Hello? Do I need to sign for it? No. Okay, thank you. Here we go. I'm back. Oh my goodness. Rick and Evelyn, let me put them on the list. Okay, Michigan Woman. I'm hoping that this is a book that I ordered last week. I'm really excited to get it. I got a great price. It is. See what I got? I am so pleased with this. The cookbook that challenges politically correct nutrition and diet dictates. Sally Fallon is supposed to be really wonderful, and I waited and waited until I found this book on sale, and then I bought it real quick because it's supposed to be really good. And there's lots of, not just recipes, but there's a lot of good information on nutrition in it. So that's why I'm excited to get that. This is going in my homesteading library. Let's see. Oh, I'm so glad your stepson's marriage is doing a little better, Michigan. That is wonderful news. Okay. Lisa Clark. All righty. This is a short list this week. Actually, what I ought to do is go back to the old lists and combine them all and get one big one, and then find out what has been answered and what is still out there waiting, so I can have a little bit more accurate list to play with. Well, I really appreciate y'all coming today. I appreciate you putting up with all of my talk. I feel like I just needed to tell you, you've been so good to come every Sunday, even when David's not been here. And I know you've all been praying for him, and I just felt like y'all needed to be updated on everything. So now you know. Oh, good, Joe. That's wonderful news. I'm glad to hear it. I Thank you. Thank you, Joe. And I will definitely give him good wishes from all of you. And thank you for praying for both of us. I have a feeling I couldn't have stood up to the stresses that have gone on for the last 2 weeks if I hadn't been having the prayers lifted up for me. So I agree, Lisa. It is like sitting around and being with friends. So that's one of the main reasons why we love to come every Sunday, is because so many people love us and we love them. Country Homestead Preacher have to run, but no, we are praying for you both. Hope you have a good week and David recovers quickly. Thank you, Country Homestead Preacher. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for coming by. Thank you, Loretta. Believe me, I appreciate every prayer. I know they're going up. I can feel the love and the support and the care. And so can David. I promise. Praying for both of you. Just take it one day at a time and God will be there. Oh, believe me, Amy, one day at a time is the only way I can. If I tried to do it any other way, it'd be silly to try and do it any other way. This way I know every day he's taking care of it, and that's all I have to worry about. He has the future and he has the past. Today is the day he's taking care of right now. Thank you, Ruth. I'm really glad he's home too. Thank you very much. You take care. I will tell him hello too, Lisa. All of you take care. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week until we see you next week. And remember, as always, if you get out there and you feel like no one cares, always remember there are people here. I was going to say there is someone, like I always do, but that's not true. There's more. That we all care about each other and we all love you. So take care. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.